Thank you, everybody, for being here. And it's such a pleasure to meet all of you in person. Yeah. It's a great honor to join you. And my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Tara Cynthia for her invitation and for her support of my nonviolence education efforts. I'm Hongyu Wang at Oklahoma State University. I have started to work on nonviolence education since 2010, and I got to know the center because of the book, Teachers Teaching Nonviolence, published in 2020, and also through Dr. Cynthia's distinguished work on nonviolence education and nonviolence studies. I'll talk briefly a few points. First, the extraordinary leadership of the Ahimsa Center. Then seeing Farewell as opening, I'll mention a little bit about my efforts in formulate nonviolence as an everyday practice of education, and then say a few words about moving forward. Well, I mentioned we found Teachers Teaching Nonviolence, and I taught this book several times in my own classes, and students were really excited about the book, precisely because it shows what it can be like in the classroom setting, in the school setting. And also, I want to mention what is extraordinary in Tara's design for Teachers Institute. For teachers to learn about exemplars of nonviolent leaders and nonviolence movement, which is not much in school education. Basically, you seldom hear the word nonviolence. But more than that, the design of the Teachers Institute is to give teachers professional autonomy to design their curriculum and teaching, rather than say, here is what you need to do. They learn about nonviolence, and then they bring it back into their own classroom. I found that very outstanding in terms of teachers' training usually is imposed from outside. And so this is also following the principle of nonviolence. It needs to be work from within rather than pushed from outside. And other things I have already talked about, I also participated in one of the conference, and it was very inspiring, especially how the local, the national, the international dimensions all condensed in a very short period of time. And you can feel even through Zoom, it was during pandemic, we have a very strong sense of community. So I just want to mention these important aspects. And I see it, the farewell, as opening new spaces, not only through the alumni and everybody who sit here, but through the message of nonviolence that goes towards all dimensions of life and work. For others like we read and we talk about this at OLSU. The opening as breaking through the hardcore of violence through life-affirming energy. We are in our wartime now, as we know. Opening as rippling effects of grassroots efforts. Opening as lighting up pathways. And from the beginning of my work, I see it, nonviolence, as opening to connecting with the most vital part of human heritage locally, nationally, and internationally. It exists in so many different cultures, different countries, and it can be the thread that brings all of us together as we are here today. And to borrow Edmund Tutu's word, no future without forgiveness, I truly believe we have no future without nonviolence. We are living in a traumatic time now. I don't even need to list there. And I see nonviolence because of its double gestures of dissolving violence and promoting compassion as the light to heal the divides and bring us out to bridges that host the future in the here and now of our daily work. And to use the Michael Nagler's work, the integrative power of nonviolence is important because it releases positive energy of compassion, forgiveness, reconciliation to really shift relational dynamics, especially across difference, to what degree we can be open to different faces, different perspectives, different ways of thinking and action in life and in education. And so the importance of nonviolence is much more urgent today than ever before. I have tried to bring nonviolence into education and reformulate it as an everyday practice of education, because nonviolence is seldom discussed, so students, teachers do not see alternative how to deal with conflicts. But talking about nonviolence as a content is not enough. It has to be infused into all aspects of nonviolence education, and to see it as a everyday practice of teachers and students, educators, and certainly education can be public education. And I see nonviolence as a practice that teachers and students can craft, can learn, and can be taught. So when we infuse the energy of nonviolence into education, there it just can create important shift to have transformative effects. At levels of personhood, certainly the integration of body, mind, spirit is the foundation for education. And at the interpersonal, intergroup, international relationship, attunements to interconnectedness and interdependence beyond separateness and division is important, is the guiding orientation. And all of this are also related to structural transformation. It's not about burning down somebody else's house, but it's about doing everyday work in order to redirect the orientation of relational dynamics in our daily life. So nonviolence as an everyday practice of education is about holding tensions to generate nonviolent relationship with the self, the other, and the world through transforming educational content, process, policy, and purpose. This is something I did in 2014 in a one-off book to foreground organic relationality for curriculum of nonviolence, and it includes non-instrumental engagement, which is very difficult to teach. Serendipity play, spiritual openness, and de-education. I just want to show you the diagram, and we don't have time to talk about this. And then 10 years later, I brought 6 different series together to articulate a curriculum of nonviolence. Nonviolence education started small with creating a course, a new course, and then it has grown out, and we now have a PhD option related to nonviolence education. And we had at least 6 doctoral dissertations with primary focus on nonviolence. 2 finished, 4 of them are ongoing. And nonviolence in the field of curriculum studies is really not discussed until quite recently. And one of the things that related to it is we hosted a conference in 2024 about the calling of nonviolence in curriculum and education at OLSU Tulsa, and I invited Dr. Cynthia to be a keynote for the conference. And since then, there has been a lot of more efforts within the field. We have a nonviolence curriculum book series. We have a nonviolence education YouTube channel. I also did an interview with Dr. Cynthia about the minor and teaching nonviolence at college level. But more importantly, it is the at OLSU and in curriculum studies program, it is the community building and everyday practices to infuse nonviolence as a positive life force. So we feel like compared to 10 years ago, the program has much more better climate and environment for students and becomes a close-knit community because of that. So think about moving forward. I did it just by myself as a person. And I still hold the belief that anything like this, like nonviolence, which existed in everybody, everywhere, can be done just one step at a time. Even if you have lots of resistance or difficulty, anyone can start it. We can do it alone. We can do it together as all of you sitting here as a community. And the other thing is that through my teaching and my experiences of doing nonviolence education, in the beginning, it was pretty difficult, and also because of my location, the political orientation and educational, environment, all of that together, the major orientation of individualism, even though it's, go across the our country, it's pretty strong there. What I found out is to be able to get nonviolence education through experiential learning. So if the students experience it in their body, in their mind, in their spirit, then they become more passionate than I am. And it needs to be well designed, but it does need time. It needs an extended period of time. For a whole semester, 2 months, 3 months, they have to do certain things every week or every day. And so through all kinds of experiential learning, they became open to it, and they became, champion for it in their own work as educators and as teachers. So I see going forward in circular movements. It may not be straightforward, and there are barriers and obstacles. But nonviolence education can go forward through curved movements because Ahimsa is inherent in us, and is the light to shine through all the difficulties. It will be dependent on our courage, consistency, and commitment. If we do want to have a future, we must practice nonviolence here and now, individually and collectively, to have a more nonviolent and peaceful future. Thank you.